Hey internet, wanna know something I'm most certainly not? A sexually repressed Christian woman. Wow, what a brilliant observation I've made. I am definitely not that thing. But you know who is that thing? Girl Defined. You might have seen Girl Defined, they were featured in Cody Ko's That's Cringe, and I had heard that they wrote a book. I haven't read the book, but they've written and done videos about their book. So if you want me to review their book, this video has to get 12k likes, and I swear to God I won't wait a year like I did with a certain somebody's book, which, by the way, you can hit a card somewhere to go watch.
I've been struggling with porn for a while now, and I don't know what to do. I'm ashamed and scared of letting my secret out.
Listen, if you're someone who enjoys pornography, I'll let you in on a little secret. Literally everyone else in the first world does. Maybe actually even not in the first world. Everybody, just everybody ever. It's almost like we're hardwired to procreate, which is ridiculous, crazy, right? You know, guys, I used to be a very religious person. I grew up in a Catholic household, you know? I went to a Catholic school. It was a very enlightening experience for me. I realized that after my computer teacher was a pedophile and the priest told us that having a child out of wedlock would send you to jail, that I realized, maybe this whole religion thing isn't really all it's cracked up to be. In fact, speaking of the wedlock thing, I remember when the priest came in to tell us about the world and sex, because a man who has neither gone anywhere nor experienced anything is qualified to tell us how to run our lives. But he came in and he talked to us, and then instead of talking about intercourse or sex or giving the birds and the bees talk, he actually just went on a rant and chastised my teacher who had a child out of wedlock, sending her out of the room in tears. He also said that hamsters don't go to heaven, and that really offended me. I remember the first day the priest walked into the room. He walked in and he said to us, "First of all, most of you in this room will go to hell." And I'm like, shit, with that kind of attitude, fuck, sign me up. But no, speaking about Girl Defined and the whole sex thing, at least for guys, I have not met one dude who does not think about sex all the time. Like, sometimes you can just be going to the supermarket, minding your own business, and then you're like, that carrot looks like a penis. Yeah, and that tomato looks like a butt. What would happen if they just smashed? Like, I am actually pretty sure if you don't, like, at least masturbate, like, if you're a guy, like, your scrotum will fall off your groin like Isaac Newton discovering gravity. Girl Defined seems like the kind of people who would be, like, afraid of a gay rat wedding in Arthur, you know what I mean?
I struggle with same-sex attraction to women. Lust is almost constantly invading my thoughts.
Oh, that's an issue? Being attracted to women is an issue? Maybe Girl Defined actually would be offended by a gay rat wedding in Arthur. Come on! Wow, that was awful! Oh my god, I can't believe they said that. That's bananas. And people wonder why I think Satan's a good guy. It's because these people act like this, and they actually have a genuine issue with the fact that somebody might not be attracted to wieners. Personally, I don't know how you could be attracted to wieners. Have you seen them? Have you seen Pro Jareds? Shiitake mushrooms. A lot of this is rooted in my personal philosophy and a lot of the things I read. And, a lot of that is based in science and, just the kind of reasoning. And you know what? I'm a man who says indulge in the things in life. Indulge, because you only live once. And, if you don't, then you've just lived an unfulfilled life, in my opinion. I'm actually pretty certain you won't go blind if you jerk off too. So if you want to, I'm trying to think of a euphemism for, like, female masturbation. And I can't. It's also, I don't know why, it's just more funny to talk about penises. That's just me. Like, have you guys, like, again, like, a dick is weird. Like, dicks are fucking gross.
My mind is a war zone. These are real and honest comments that the two of us have received from different Christian women. Each one of them has experienced some sort of sexual struggle and pain.
What's really funny about this is that they wouldn't be feeling this struggle and pain if you did not instill those feelings into them. Like, it would be very easy to point fingers at society or anywhere else, but this is systemic of just religious Christians in general. Excuse me for being a bit of a Satanist, but I don't think there's a problem with being comfortable with your sexuality. If you want to save it for marriage, that's fine. Okay, but, like, don't allow people to instill fear of breaking the rules into you. You know, it is people like this that make people who are, you know, gay or bisexual or whatever feel bad about that. Okay? Like again, I always go back to the priest because I always find it very strange how he sat in front of my class and told me if we'd get tattoos, we'd go to hell. Anyway, I have 3, planning on getting a 4th, and plenty more. Alright, if I'm gonna go, I'm gonna make sure I go tatted up looking like a badass. You know, I think my favorite part is when the priest came in one day and told us that gay people were sick and they need help. Not a lie at all. This priest was an asshole.
The two of us get it because we've been there. Whether it's a secret sin, pornography addiction, sexual promiscuity, masturbation, lust, or something else, I think one thing is clear, that we as Christian women are struggling.
You know, the one on the right is just nodding and going, yep. Just, it looks, you both look like the least genuine women on earth. Like, you two look like the type of Karens to ask to speak to the manager after putting a fake roach in your spaghetti. Like, I really don't believe that you guys have experienced this struggle and you're just not selling me on the genuineness of it. You know, guys, I actually heard if you give in to your sexual urges on earth, you'll go to hell and they'll turn you into a dildo where you'll vibrate and fuck people for all eternity. Can't wait for this video to get demonetized. It's like I'm making no money these days.
Of our background, our age, our upbringing, every one of us wrestles with sexual sin. And so instead of trying to fight these battles on our own, we as women need to break down the barrier of silence and shame, and I think really acknowledge the reality of our own struggles as women.
Am I shaming them? I mean, they started it first, so I think it's okay. Yeah, I'll go with that.
Because here's the deal. Regardless of where we've been or what we've done or what we've experienced, God wants to reclaim our understanding of sexuality. He wants to help us conquer the lust in our life.
If there's a God, he's a good God. I would assume he would be just, otherwise why follow him, right? But I find it amazing, more specifically, that these girls seem to feel they have such a strong connection that they are willing to parse his philosophy and his word out to people as if it is fact straight from the horse's mouth. Excuse me for being a bit skeptical, but I don't think Girl Defined are the two religious leaders that have a direct connection with God to tell women how they should and shouldn't run their bodies. They really don't seem like the most holy people on planet Earth, okay? Especially if they're like fucking selling it in a book. Like, I already know that this book is just their anecdotes of what they think God wants, not what he wants. You know, it's not based in anything else but what they feel and they interpret, which I know is a lot of what religious scholars do, and is some very interesting and really good to read religious scholars, some that I actually do enjoy reading. But these girls are not that. Yeah, I don't want anybody to pick up that book and think, this is definitely what God thinks. Because there are actually religious scholars that would argue the opposite or argue different things, you know. This is just one idea and interpretation of a philosophy. You know, this is a weird anecdote, but their house looks like an IKEA showroom. Like, they are one live, laugh, love sticker away from being the most cliche thing on the planet. Like, that's pretty sad. Seriously, Girl Defined listens to Christian rock, and they call it too hard. Okay. Speaking of, here's another thing. I actually went to Bible camp. They would have us dress up in colors. We'd all go into a room at the end of the thing, and we would all sing God praises in like a Christian rock choir. That was weird. We would go to like the Noah room, and it would be filled with a bunch of beach-related things, which is just really funny when you think about it, and you think about Noah's Ark. And it's like, we're gonna make a graham cracker that's like Noah's Ark. Or a graham cracker that's like the ocean. It's like, you mean the flood that killed everyone. Okay. So this is the official trailer for their book, you know, Sex, Purity, and the Longing of a Girl's Heart. But they also have like a kind of like sewing circle where they talk about the book and kind of expand on the themes in it in the videos, which I would like to say, why didn't you do that in a book? Or why aren't you all just doing it in a video? Also, especially with things like this, I don't think, like, one, like, you're not an expert on religion, and then two, why are you guys using yourselves as a source for a conversation about what God wants in the Bible. Like, shouldn't you be quoting that, not your own book?
To kick things off, let's just talk about why in the world did you choose to save sex for marriage? So, guys.
The question's like, why are you crazy?
Yeah. It wasn't because we're
not
not fans of sex. We love sex, but.
Oh my god. The girl-defined girls seem like the kind of women to literally share everything, and that's the funniest shit. I don't know why this is so funny. They don't seem like bad guys, but just like, there's something about this that's really uncomfortable.
Yeah, I mean, the reason is because God has called us to something in His Word that says, hey, don't be sexually immoral. And I have a Bible verse. Can I read a Bible verse?
You can read it.
These guys look like a fucking Gap showroom. Like... There's something really strange about this. Oh my god. I don't know why it's so weird. Oh man, this is unsettling. Something strange about this, man. This isn't to say we're not fans of sex. We love sex. It's just, we only use it for making babies. Like, could you imagine the risk that would come with, like, coming? Like, now, all the time now, it's like, shit, here we got a sixth one now. Like, can't get rid of this. Hun, we're only in debt.
Reason is because God has called us to something in His Word that says, hey, don't be sexually immoral. And I have a Bible verse. Can I read a Bible verse?
You can read a Bible verse.
First,
Oh, it's sexually immoral to have sex outside of marriage? Get the fuck out of here, you fucking boring ass. Come on. Do some cocaine. Do some LSD. Fuck a hooker. I'm memeing. I'm joking. But, like... I'm so used to seeing, like, the opposite side these days, because I go to, like a very liberal arts college, where people are doing weird shit and wearing trash bags to class and shit, and then I see this and I'm just like, this is, like, I am almost certain they are not people, like, because I just don't see this kind of person, ever.
1 Thessalonians 4, 3-5. For this is the will of God, your sanctification, that you abstain from sexual immorality, that each one of you know how to control his own body, or her own body, in holiness and honor, not in the passion of lust like the Gentiles who do not know God.
Okay, so that's an interesting passage you bring up there, right? And allow me to make a realistic justification for a passage like that, because let's be real here. None of the passages you read in the Bible come directly from God. They always come from somebody writing about interpretations of interpretations, or just trying to place people in a certain way for a functioning society. I think a lot of, pretty much all philosophies, kind of boil down with something like that, to make something that's well functioning. So the reason you wouldn't be immoral or have sex out of marriage is that you can have a child and there's ramifications with that. It creates a lot of baggage for somebody to carry, and unprotected sex is literally the only option you have. It could spread diseases, people could get sick, people could die. That helps minimize that. The reason you wouldn't is because it keeps you safe from getting physical ailments or being in a predicament where you don't want to be. Also, if you sleep with someone's wife at like that time, you'll die. You that's it. Like, that is some serious ramifications you could have.
Okay, so I went and I looked up to determine whether or not you could actually be killed for committing adultery, and it turns out yes. First of all, in the Greco-Roman world, which the Greco-Roman world would be Rome, the guys who put, Jesus on the cross, Pontius Pilate, he was a Roman. Basically, in that society, you couldn't sleep. Okay, if you're a married man, here's how it goes. You could sleep with your slaves, you could sleep with your mistress, you could sleep with an unmarried woman, but it would be a crime to sleep with a married woman or, like, basically anybody else's wife. A wife, on the other hand, could not sleep with anybody else but her husband. It's kind of more or less, she wasn't treated at the same level as a man was. So yeah, that's how it went there. In Christianity, it was a bit different. So you would be put to death by stoning for extramarital sex, which is really awful. And then female premarital sex, you would also be killed. And this is, in Christianity, it was a main force. So this would probably be after the Roman Empire fell. So yeah, this is all based in very real law that existed for quite some time prior to this. Now, it's really a chicken and egg argument. What came first, these rules or the society? Okay, so now I went and I looked up whether or not masturbation shows up in the Bible, and the answer to that question is kind of a no. Basically, you have to infer from text whether or not that is the case. It's not actually mentioned, and it's not mentioned whether or not it's a sin or not. You know, it's really all left up to the interpretation, which is my fucking problem with it. So there you go.
But I think if you're in a completely monogamous relationship, you are trusting and you love each other, you should be able to experience sex. I really don't think there's a problem with that, and you shouldn't feel shamed for doing that. Okay? There. Sermon done.
Yeah.
Essentially, sexual immorality as being a sin. We don't want to do that as Christians, and having sex before marriage is what God calls a sin. And so that's the high calling. That's like the base
Yes.
of what we're doing here. The reason we did that was because God has called us to something greater.
Imagine getting a pat on the back for not sticking it in before you put a ring on it. That's what that sounds like. That's what he sounds like. He sounds very proud of himself for doing that. Okay, buddy. Yeah, I'm sure. Oh boy, you are just a pinnacle man among men. Is this the equivalent of like a right-wing soy boy? Is that a real thing? Okay, so I think that's enough girl defined for today. This video is gonna be pretty decently long already. I am amazed by their ridiculousness. If you'd like to see me review their book, 12K likes. Let's make it happen. Unless it doesn't, then oh well. Please support the channel in my ever-going quest to make the world a more awful place. I'm joking, of course, but make sure to subscribe and help me out and help this become a full-time job for me. You can also do so and support the channel by buying some merch down in the link below, following me on all the social medias, on my blog, on my Twitter, on my Instagram. I also do a podcast with Wild Spartans and Quite. It's called Loudmouse. It's really fun and it's really loud. It's going to be a good time. Go check it out and have a good day for everyone except Girl Defined.